This video contains mention of mental illness and suicide. I think we're all hurting right now. A lot has happened in the world in the past week, and it seems like this happens once a year, where a lot of really horrifying and devastating things happen in a very small amount of time. And it's always stuff that's in the public eye, and it's very overwhelming. And of course we know that this stuff happens all the time, but when it's a lot at once, it can just be a lot to handle. There's a lot of really serious crap happening in the world right now, and it's super tempting for us to close our eyes and cover our ears with our hands and just close ourselves off from it. Because digesting all of it is like a full-time job, and a lot of us don't have the emotional wherewithal to consume all of that. A little less than a year ago, I made a video where I talked to you guys for the very first time about my struggle with depression. The response I got to that video was overwhelming, and it made me realize one thing very clearly above everything else, which is that a lot of us feel very alone. A lot of us feel like we're the only ones who are trying to weather this storm, because part of what depression does is it creates a mental environment where you tend to isolate yourself. So you feel more alone, and then you isolate yourself, and then you feel even more alone, and it's just this cycle. And I think a lot of people were pretty surprised to hear that I was dealing with that, because in general, I'm a very bright, happy person who just loves making people laugh, making people smile, and I always try to look on the positive side of things. But I think that sometimes very happy people can be very sad, and I'm reminded of that a lot with the news of Robin Williams passing. It's sad when anyone in our lives dies. The fact that most of us didn't ever get to meet or know Robin Williams doesn't discredit the very real dull ache in our hearts. For so many of us, he was a huge part of our childhoods, and his talent had the ability to make us laugh, cry, or break our hearts. I think it's unproductive to try and weigh human lives against one another, especially when it comes to deaths. Saying this person's death is more important than this person's death, all deaths are important because all lives are important. But in saying that, I realize and recognize that celebrity deaths will get more of a public reaction than when a non-famous person dies. So we need to be careful and honor all of these people with sincerity. We've lost a lot this week. And of course, you can care about more than one thing at once. You can be upset by many issues. Doesn't mean that you are less upset about something just because you care about another thing. In the description of this video, you'll find a whole bunch of resources, websites, and phone numbers for talking about mental health, talking about depression. I want you to know, if you're watching this, that it is okay to be sad. Sadness is not something you should be embarrassed or ashamed of. Especially so when it comes to mental illness, which for so many is a lifelong battle. I know that for so many of you, every day is a fight to hold it together and just to keep going. It can be hard because people see this happy, normal you, and they don't realize how hard you're working just to present this smiling face to just function. I want to encourage you to be brave. And being brave does not mean acting like everything's fine. Being brave is found in tiny moments of life. Being brave is self-care. Being brave is taking a long bath. Being brave is working through anxiety to make important phone calls. Being brave is remembering to take your meds, allowing yourself to cry, talking with your friends, and being patient with yourself when things don't work out. Being brave is one of the boldest and scariest parts of living. I know you can do this. I have supreme faith in your ability to live and to be brave. Because to live would be an awfully big adventure.